Next at 10, local drug agents pull off a major drug raid. We'll show you what happened.
Day turned to night, and our Dave Brown will show us the complete solar eclipse from Hawaii.
And an aggressive generation of young women. We'll take a Focus 40 look at teenage girls who are going after boys in a surprisingly forward way.
We'll have that story and all of the day's news for you next, right here on the 10 o'clock news.
Full tank of gas and cold fried chicken. What more could you ask for in a road trip? Well, that's Tony O, engineer extraordinaire. That's me, Hank, ditto. And that's Bill, marketing maniac. It was 1985. We were designing a transmission for the new Saturn, but the rest of the car wasn't finished yet, so we borrowed another car and put our transmission in it. We said it would run like a dream no matter who was driving or where. Marketing said, prove it. So we drove and drove. Here we are achieving optimum shift stability with minimum torque disturbance. It's going uphill real fast with the AC blasting. Call us crazy. Regular fuel stops, little sleep, 15 more road trips, and more than 6 million miles later, we had some good information and truly unique personal mementos. Our Saturn transmission came through with flying colors. Wish we could say the same for Bill. Marketing will never doubt us again.
Call now and get a hot deal on a Domino's Pepperoni Pizza Feast, packed with pepperoni and loaded with cheese.
Call now and get a medium Domino's Pepperoni Pizza Feast with extra portions of fresh pepperoni and 100% real California cheese for just $7.99, or get a large for $9.99.
Fox Fun is here for you. First at 10, the Valley's #1 primetime news. The 10 o'clock news.
The influx of drugs into this area in Northern California is unabated at this time.
On the street, this cocaine is worth $600,000. It was being sold to an undercover agent right here in North Sacramento yesterday when the DEA moved in and made the bust. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Crandell.
And I'm Lorraine Woodward. 4 people have been arrested in what the DEA says was the drug dealer's attempt to establish a major drug distribution center in Sacramento.
Our Terry Cox was at a news conference today at which the Drug Enforcement Administration showed off the drugs, they showed off the money, and they showed off some weapons too, Terry, I guess you say, that they grabbed yesterday.
Yeah, they showed off a lot of stuff today. Years ago, this would have been called a huge bust, but because of the amount of drugs out there today, it's simply called big with a qualification attached to it. The bust comes after a tip from the Sacramento Sheriff's Department to the Drug Enforcement Administration. The DEA went in with an undercover agent and made a bust yesterday in North Sacramento and a bust today in Redwood City. This is what the DEA took in when it made its bust in North Sacramento yesterday. 5 kilograms of cocaine worth $600,000 on the street. Some of it in original packaging from South America, some of it stashed away inside a box of cotton balls. 2 ounces of tar heroin with a street value of $22,000 were also seized. In addition to that, 2 handguns.
They were trying to establish our DEA undercover agent as a major purchaser. They had promised him much larger quantities and many more kilograms, and this was an initial purchase. They were hoping to establish him as a distributor in this area.
55-year-old Sylvester Romero of Rio Linda and 56-year-old Jose Maldonado of Redwood City were arrested at an undisclosed North Sacramento location yesterday afternoon. The DEA then made 2 more arrests in connection with this case in Redwood City this morning. In addition to the arrests, another kilogram of coke was seized, numerous weapons, and $21,000 in cash.
It's a large amount of drugs, but in the grand scale of the war on drugs, we're seeing more and more and more of these multi-kilogram cases as we go along.
The DEA says those arrested have been dealing drugs for more than a year, but it isn't known how long they've been operating in Sacramento. And according to the DEA, none of the 4 arrested are U.S. citizens. They are Mexican nationals. Each faces a minimum of 20 years in prison.
It is interesting that a number of years ago, when there were drug busts by the DEA or other law enforcement, they would get this much narcotic, and now it's
yeah.
this much narcotic.
And that's not a major bust, it's a big bust.
Yeah, exactly. A lot more sophisticated operations.
Well, a man police believe may have taken part in Sacramento's so-called ruse burglaries is in jail tonight. 27-year-old Brian Henderson is charged with 27 counts of burglary. Now, police say he made up scams at the homes of senior citizens in order to rip them off. Police also say he may be linked to as many as 15 additional burglaries in which the victims did not report the crime. A reserve deputy sheriff who shot a 16-year-old in April has been cleared of any wrongdoing. The shooting occurred at this home belonging to Floyd Averett. He was sleeping at the time that two people were burglarizing his home. Before the burglars finished, Averett woke up and shot one of the suspects as he was fleeing. Today, Sacramento County District Attorney Steve White said no charges will be filed against Averett. Kelly Abramson was shot in the back. Another suspect, 21-year-old Patrick Burkhart, will go on trial in August.
In Los Angeles tonight, the police chief, Daryl Gates, the hot topic at the city council meeting. Now, we don't have any report in yet on that meeting, but the main subject was to be whether Gates should go. A majority of the council has already said it's time for a change.
Now, he has two options. One is to resign, the other is to be fired.
Chief Gates is on the job, of course, in spite of yesterday's commission conclusion that a change is needed. And even though some, like Ridley Thomas, are adamant about that, others aren't so sure it'll happen.
It's now a test of political will. The real question, I think, is whether or not the council has the guts to now follow through on these daring recommendations.
Firing somebody from a job is not an easy matter. We've had experiences where we've fired people and they end up going to court, and they 6 months, a year and a half later, they're reinstated by the court.
In Washington tonight, the Senate passed the crime bill, and if it becomes law, it will impose the death penalty for 51 crimes. It will limit appeals for convicts who are right now waiting on death row, and it will also require a waiting period before you can buy a handgun. The crime bill also toughens penalties for drug dealing and using a gun to commit crimes, and it does ban some assault weapons. The bill apparently has a fairly good chance of becoming law. The House hasn't discussed it yet, but President Bush has already indicated he likes the legislation, and he will probably sign it if the House approves it first. With the heat-related deaths at the state prison in Vacaville, all of the prisons in our state are getting more attention now. Our Al Lundeen visited Folsom today. He reports that air conditioning isn't a big priority there, but prison authorities say they are making an effort to meet the needs of the inmates.
Inside Folsom Prison, safety takes top priority. And while air conditioning doesn't make the list, there is concern for inmates who might get too hot.
I personally walked the tiers and talked to people. I found one person I thought didn't belong on the upper tiers because it gets hotter there, so I had him moved to a lower tier. So there's things you can do on a day-to-day basis.
But for 75 inmates, the attention today was directed at a program called American that former football star Jim Brown sponsors. It aims at making inmates responsible for their own actions.
Our philosophy is each and every day you can pick the right choices.
Brown might have been the headliner today, but inmates have more to gain or lose. A year ago, Anthony Davis could not read or write.
If ever again I would, I should find myself starting to regress, I always think of Jim Brown and his program, America, We All Can.
American doesn't touch more than 7,000 other inmates at Folsom, but officials favor programs over amenities like air conditioning.
We have an academic program which is very good. We have a vocational education program. We have these kinds of programs, American, Voices. You just keep on doing, try to hit as many people as you can with something that give them a tool to take out with them that they didn't bring in with them.
Despite the efforts to make inmates comfortable and prepare them for life after the cell, most return to prison. Statewide, 65% of inmates end up behind the wall again. For the 10 o'clock news, I'm Al Lundeen.
Caltrans crews still cleaning up the debris from a fatal accident on Highway 99. It happened at around 1:30 just south of Yuba City. One person died in the accident, 12 others were injured, 4 required hospitalization. Authorities say the road is under construction and Caltrans had stopped 8 vehicles at the northbound end. But apparently a tanker truck filled with gasoline didn't see the stopped vehicles in time. It hit several cars, overturning on a pickup. The driver of that pickup was killed. Crews are still cleaning up the mess and say the highway probably won't reopen until midnight.
Still ahead tonight, Dave Brown with some super pictures of today's solar eclipse.
And in tonight's Focus 40, their role model is Madonna. We'll take a look at the sexually aggressive teenage girls of the 90s. And Bob Cook comments on cops gone bad.
Uneven justice for bad cops. A comment coming up in Focus 40.
Folsom Lake Ford, your truck source, is having a truck blowout. Get a new 1991 Ranger pickup for just $139 down and $139 per month. Get a new 1991 F-150 pickup for just $169 down and $169 per month. Or pay no money down and make no payments till October. Every truck in our huge inventory is at blowout prices. There's a reason we're #1 in sales and #1 in customer satisfaction. Come to the source and see for yourself. Folsom Lake Ford at the corner of Greenback and Madison. Come to the source.
5-star service.
From the moment you first arrive, you'll experience the difference service can make at John Esquaga's Nugget. Because we pride ourselves in offering our guests an unmatched level of attention and promise to go that extra mile, your stay or visit is always an enjoyable one. Service, it's part of the 5-star experience you'll experience at the Nugget.
It's John Esquaga's Nugget. 5-star experience.
Heard about Chevron's great gasoline and grocery giveaway? With over 3 million instant winners?
That's a lot of winners.
You could win the grand prize, free groceries for life.
That's a lot of groceries.
And free Chevron gasoline for life.
That's a lot of gasoline.
Or one of over 3 million free gas and grocery prizes worth up to $10.
That's a lot of fun.
So stop by Chevron, start playing, and start winning.
We check everything. When every load comes in over here, we check all the cans. We ensure that they are redemption cans. If they're not, we separate them and treat them as scrap.
Recyclers are taking a closer look at the cans brought here. In fact, they're even checking license plates, all to prevent giving too much money to the wrong person. We'll explain when the 10 o'clock news continues.
On the next Cheers.
It's time that I came out of the closet.
You heard right. When Norm comes out of the closet, he brings the whole bar with him.
It seems just like a regular bar.
Oh, honey, look at those two. Come on. When Sammy finds out about this, you guys are history.
You sure do make a cute couple.
What some guys won't do to impress others.
Accept the compliment, honey.
You'll find out next time on Cheers.
Friday at 7:30 on KTXL Fox 40.
Millions of Americans were ready to eliminate him. The end was near for the egg.
I hope he fries.
But then there was news.
Yes, Governor.
Eggs contain 22% less cholesterol than previously thought.
Release that egg!
Which is why the American Heart Association has increased its weekly egg yolk allowance for healthy people from 3 to 4. California Fresh Eggs. Give them a break.
You couldn't have dreamed of a better time to save than this. The Mazda Summer Savings Express is here, and the savings are going fast and furious. Mazda Value Packs can save you as much as $2,575. Limited time incentives can save you up to $2,000. But hurry, these savings are meant to move fast. That was fast.
At your local Mazda dealer now.
This portion of the 10 o'clock news is brought to you by American Honda, #1 in import owner loyalty for the last 13 years.
Environmental news now. The number of Californians that recycle beverage containers continues to grow.
We are now one of the top states in the entire country for recycling aluminum cans, which is good news, of course. But Mitch Truswell is here to tell us that some people are trying to take advantage of the situation, and I see you brought your
This is an easy way to illustrate it. If I were to ask you which can was bought in Nevada and which was bought in California, could you tell me?
One says California Redemption on it, right?
They both do. But many of the cans in Nevada and Arizona will also say California redemption value, and that's one of the problems because they're not entitled to get that redemption value back, but some of them are bringing them to California.
Is there a way to tell then?
There's no way to tell.
Really?
Except
that's
perhaps the car that they are driving, if they're from Nevada or something, then you don't give them the refund. A couple of cents per can may not seem like much to you, but to the California Department of Conservation, it is $1 million problem. A Los Angeles-based company is currently being sued for allegedly charging the state for recycling out-of-state cans, $4 million worth of cans. Every day, thousands of cans are taken to recycling centers around Sacramento. For every can, the customer is given 2.5 cents in California redemption value, plus the current market rate for aluminum.
CA redemption glass. These are not good. We'll take them, but we don't pay you for them.
Although authorities are doing their best to stop it, some are trying to bring out-of-state cans to California recycling centers. Not only are they paid the market rate for aluminum, they get an extra 2.5 cents that they are not entitled to.
If I see what they have and I can gauge that it's an excessive amount, I'll just let them know I won't buy it. Rather than take the chance of it being not proper, I won't buy it at all. I'll just turn it away.
This kind of fraudulence can be profitable. Vasquez says someone tried to bring in 5,000 pounds of aluminum cans. He wouldn't take them. He believed they were from out of state. The redemption value alone would have been $2,500. State officials believe at least $500,000 a year is being given away improperly.
Is $500,000 out of a couple $100 million a large amount? No, it isn't, but it's still a large amount of money.
And despite the increasing number of recyclers, officials believe better enforcement is the key to solving the problem. The Department of Conservation says it has contracted with the agriculture checkpoints located around the state. They're keeping an eye out for large loads of aluminum cans coming into the state from Nevada, Arizona, even Mexico.
Clean up the environment, obviously, is the idea. So wherever they come from, it sounds like a good idea, but I can understand the problem with more money going out than is coming in. We can't fund the program.
Right, and that's the fear, but we're not at that point yet, and they seem to be taking a lot of steps to take care of the problem.
Interesting.
Okay, Mitch, another environmental story. There are 20,000 leaking toxic sites in California, and to clean them up, a Santa Barbara assemblyman introduced a program today that will combine the efforts of property owners, regulators, and bankers. Jack O'Connell says a 1990 law permits communities to finance cleanup if future development can pay the debt.
The responsible parties are still on the hook. First and foremost, we want the toxic polluters to be the ones to help clean up for any toxic pollution that they may have caused. But this is, I think, an additional tool.
O'Connell says the cooperative solution will help clean up small and large contamination sites. The Northern California logging industry is heading for disaster. That's the fear of logging interest and lawmakers representing Northern California communities after a federal ban on logging sales until the danger to the California spotted owl is reviewed. Now, lawmakers say that delaying logging on federal lands will hurt communities because 25% of logging sales go to fund local governments.
We're very, very concerned that there are real families involved here. When we reduce timber sales, as was mentioned earlier, schools don't get their money, roads don't get their money, the economy goes down.
The lawmakers say the California spotted owl, unlike its notorious cousin, the northern spotted owl, is not on the endangered species list, and there is evidence that it can thrive in reforested areas.
And we're not finished yet tonight with environmentally oriented news. Still ahead, a major breakthrough in fighting air pollution. Coming up, we'll fill you in on a new anti-smog gasoline.
And he said he's tried marijuana. Will it keep him from becoming a Supreme Court justice?
But first, our next story. State lawmakers and the governor still fighting over the budget. Details on today's progress, if any, when we come back.
is an easier way to fix your car. Get a Civic 4-door from Honda.
It's not livestock. It's genuine Lazy Boy stock priced to move at the Lazy Boy Furniture Gallery's huge stock reduction sale. We've got the largest inventory of Lazy Boy furniture in the West, and you'll save up to 40% as we liquidate all floor samples, discontinued and one-of-a-kind models to make way for our new fall lineup. You'll save up to 40%. Get a move on to the Lazy Boy stock reduction sale at the Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries now.
There's Ricardo in Palm Springs. He taught me to meditate, to find my innermost feelings. There's Louis in Santa Fe. He taught me to channel my anger into creativity. And then there's Phyllis in Cleveland. She taught me how to spit so no one would know where it was coming from. I really miss Phyllis.
Who are the people you're always talking to long distance? Switch to MCI and save an extra 20% off our rates when you call anyone in your friends and family circle of callers.
If your minivan needs brakes, come to Midas. We're the brake experts. Cars, trucks, vans, and minivans. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Despite a full day of legislative haggling at the Capitol, California is about to wrap up its 11th day without a state budget.
Yesterday's late-night session by the Assembly did not produce a workable compromise on workers' compensation reform. Still one of the big hang-ups. Lonnie Wong reports that an effort today didn't go anywhere either.
The governor has drawn the line. He wants to make it harder to file a stress claim under workers' compensation, saving employers millions of dollars. Only then could he back an income tax increase for those making over $100,000 a year that would raise over $2 billion to balance the budget.
I hope that they will bring about some workers' compensation reform. Then I think we probably can get the taxes that we need to end this.
What he got from Democrats was a watered-down workers' comp reform bill and an amended tax measure that Republicans said was not approved by the governor. With Republicans objecting, those proposals went nowhere last night, and another version today fared no better.
I still have questions as to whether or not this bill represents the governor's position.
Assembly Speaker Willie Brown said he met with Wilson about the changes.
And so now you have a bill in the image of those whom he has been soliciting for votes, in the image of Pete Wilson himself. And to have someone stand on this floor and say that is an error is just an out-and-out lie.
Do you realize we don't care whether the speaker talks to the governor or whether our leader talks to the governor? We're against taxes.
The tax measure failed, and the workers' comp measures were refused consideration by Republicans who said the reforms were too weak. Democrats will try again tomorrow. Meanwhile, the pressure is building. Yesterday, the state missed a $160 million payment to cities and counties, and tomorrow, $120 million is due counties to fund the trial courts. It's a payment State Controller Gray Davis says he can't make without a state budget. For the 10 o'clock news, I'm Lonnie Wong at the state capitol.
Lawmakers in Washington say that Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas's admission that he smoked marijuana probably will not derail his nomination to the court. The revelation came last night, and Thomas has said it was a mistake and he's sorry. Jan Smith has more on reaction from Washington.
Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas says he is sorry that he used marijuana when he was a student.
I expressed regret, and I think it's pretty obvious that kids should know you shouldn't even try it once.
The White House says Thomas's admission of marijuana use is inconsequential and not disqualifying. Thomas's mentor, Republican Senator John Danforth, says it will not hurt the nominee's Senate confirmation.
I think that it will not cost him a single vote in the Senate.
But it may cost a second look. Democratic Senator Hal Heflin says he is a little troubled.
Any instance in which a proposed judicial nominee to the Supreme Court admits violating a law, it raises an issue and it causes you concern.
But past marijuana use haunted another Supreme Court nominee. Furor in 1987 over Judge Douglas Ginsburg's admission forced him to withdraw his nomination. Judge Ginsburg bowed out because of marijuana use. Why should it be any different now?
I think it is different.
Different, senators say, because Ginsburg was a Harvard law professor at the time he said he used marijuana, and he did not confess in advance of his nomination. Senator Danforth praises Thomas for being upfront about marijuana use.
If that disqualifies people, we're going to have a mass exodus from government at all levels.
Some senators now say they want to probe and make sure Judge Thomas only used marijuana in college and law school. They say they can forgive a few youthful indiscretions, but they would draw the line at a drug habit. At the Supreme Court, Jan Smith, Fox News.
Everything is in place now for the International Economic Summit next week in London. The 7 leading capitalist countries in the world will be there, and so will the Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev. Gorbachev met today in London with the British Prime Minister John Major. Gorbachev is expected to ask the group of 7 countries for economic aid for the Soviet Union. But today, Major said no large-scale assistance will be discussed, although he said he's sure some countries will want to hear Gorbachev's plans for economic and social reform in the Soviet Union. Major hinted today that he may have more advice than money for Gorbachev. 261 people were killed in a plane crash in Saudi Arabia today. The bodies scattered across the desert after the plane nosedived into the ground and exploded. The plane was carrying Nigerians on their way home after visiting Saudi Arabia in a religious pilgrimage called the Hajj. According to witnesses, copies of the Quran, the Islam holy book, were scattered among the corpses. The crew on the DC-8 was from Canada. Officials say no one on the plane survived. The plane took off. It reported technical trouble, tried to return to the airport, but didn't make it. Also in the Middle East today, an explosion ripped through an American ammunition dump near Kuwait City. At least 50 U.S. and 6 British troops were hurt, although no one was killed. One soldier, however, may not make it, but considering the amount of damage that was done, it's surprising there weren't more casualties. This apparently started with a fire on a truck that was carrying a 155mm howitzer. When the fire spread, the ammo dump blew. At least 14 top-of-the-line M1A1 tanks were destroyed. Those tanks each cost $2.7 million. And that's more tanks than were lost during the entire war with Iraq.
Here in Sacramento, firefighters are getting credit for saving a number of homes after a grass fire threatened to destroy them. Grass fire appears to have started beside the light rail tracks near 49th Street and Highway 50. The flames destroyed at least 2 garages, lots of fencing, and a nearby power pole. Light rail slowed its trains in the area because of the spectators, but the delay apparently was not significant. Fire broke out just before 4. Its cause is still being investigated.
Looks like it was fairly close to some houses right near those tracks, too. Still, coming up tonight, Dave Brown with a completely safe look at the solar eclipse and a completely safe look at the weekend's weather forecast as well.
And in sports, the second half of the baseball season began tonight. For the Giants, it looks a lot like the first half.
But first, it could have the same impact on air pollution as taking 1/3 of the cars off the road here in California. The story of a smog-fighting breakthrough when we come back.
Big Valley Ford, where big is best. Get the selection that beats the rest.
You've got a friend at Big Valley Ford. We know you want real value, and Big Valley Ford delivers. Choose from millions of dollars worth of the best cars and trucks for today. Fords, all yours at volume selling prices. Plus Saturday service and some of the absolute best people in the business at Big Valley Ford in the Stockton Auto Center.
Big Valley Ford, where big is best.
Other banks may brag about their ATMs, but take a closer look. No other California bank has as many ATMs per branch as Wells Fargo. So there's always an ATM waiting for you. Wells Fargo comes through. Some banks tell you their customer phone service gives you all the answers. Mechanical answers. Wells Fargo has 24-hour person-to-person phone service. Real people, real answers. Wells Fargo comes through when other banks don't. Every time they get a call.
Sounds like several people have been shot.
Every time they stop a car.
Stay right where you are!
Every time they walk through a door.
Hands up, let me see your hands!
They've got to be asking themselves, will I make it? Or have I taken this chance one too many times?
We got an officer down behind Circus.
Cops, now at a new time, Saturdays at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
Bedroom Blast.
This week at the Bedroom, we're blasting down prices store-wide. Save 20, 30, 40. Save up to 50% on waterbeds, bedroom furniture, sheets, comforters. Everything store-wide up to 50% off. 15 different waterbed styles for under $199 with no payments for 3 months.
So blast on in today and save.
This week at the Bedroom in Sacramento, Stockton, and Modesto.
Auto insurance. Gotta have it, but you think you're uninsurable. Maybe you've never been insured before. Could be you've got an unlucky driving record, been stopped for driving and drinking, even had an accident. The Sentinel Insurance Agency specializes in the hard to insure, and we want your business. At Sentinel, our goal is to have you pay the smallest premium you can possibly qualify for in today's market.
Modesto, 571-1111. Stockton, 951-2990. South Sacramento, 428-5400.
Yes, it's that time of year again. The right time at Maida's Toyota of Sacramento. Today, and for a very limited time, come in and write your own deal on any of over 400 new and used cars and trucks. It's the right time to get the deal you want on Celicas, Corollas, Camrys, Tercel, 2- and 4-wheel drive trucks, and the brand new Paseo. Come in now, pick the one you want, write any reasonable offer, and drive it away. If you're looking for a new or used car, your timing couldn't be better. It's the right time now at Maida's Toyota of Sacramento.
Dreyer's Malt Bowl and Fudge now comes in light. So, you don't have to worry about taking that extra spoonful. Dreyer's Malt Bowl and Fudge. Evidently, it's not your normal light.
This portion of the 10 o'clock news is brought to you by Exxon Phase 4 gasoline. For high performance and cleaner air, rely on the Tiger.
The Atlantic Richfield Company thinks it's come up with the answer to air pollution.
This won't solve the whole problem, Lorraine, of course, but ARCO says it will definitely help clean up our air. It's a new gas they call ECX, and ARCO says cars that use it will produce 1/3 less air pollution, and it can be burned instead of unleaded or leaded. ARCO will decide whether to mass produce it after the State Resources Board sets standards for gasoline.
Big part of our air pollution comes from cars and trucks. There are a number of ways to clean up their exhaust, but one of the most efficient ways is cleaning up the fuel. That makes EC gasoline the most cost-effective, least disruptive way to clean up the air that we have.
Every little bit helps. Rich is here to tell us that the baseball season has been rejoined.
It's unfortunately for the Giants, they don't start at 0-0 again like they do at some of the minor leagues.
They'd be 0-1 now anyway.
That's right, yeah, just about the same way they started. The Giants started fresh tonight. A big deficit to make up, of course, but rested and ready to go with a half season still to play. Trouble was they began the second half in a place where they seldom win, and things haven't changed. In Philadelphia, Trevor Wilson's fourth inning pitch poked into center field by John Kruk. An RBI broke up a scoreless pitcher's duel between Wilson and former Giant Terry Mulholland. Giants had a chance to tie it in their half. Mike Benjamin driving one deep to left. There are 2 outs, but the runner at first, Kurt Manwaring, didn't realize that. He got a slow start, and Wes Chamberlain was able to field the ball off the wall and throw a strike to the plate where Manwaring is out by a mile. The Giants did rally from a 3-0 deficit, but still lost 3-2. The Mets were trying to keep their winning streak alive tonight. Tim Tuffle of the Padres lifting the fly ball to right. Mark Carrion drifting under it, ready to make the throw. But that works best when you've got the ball in your hand. Benito Santiago racing around to score, but Carrion would come back later with an RBI, and the Mets beat the Padres tonight by a score of 4-3. National League Finals, Giants with a loss. Will Clark did hit his 16th home run in that one. Dodgers lost tonight in Montreal 3-2. Barry Bonds had 4 runs batted in for the Pirates. They beat the Reds 10-6 in 11. Houston beats the Cubs 6-4. The Mets have now won 8 in a row after that victory over San Diego tonight, and Steve Avery had a no-hitter for 6. Atlanta beats St. Louis 4-1. The only sure pennant race seems to be in the AL West, where the A's expect to battle at least 3 other teams over the final 3 months. They opened a 4-game series with Baltimore tonight at the Coliseum. Not a good year for the O's. They gave up 5 to the A's in the first, and then Mike Gallego's grounder, which should have been an out, turned into an adventure. 6-0 A's after 3. Dave Stewart was sharp, 7 innings, struck out 8, won his 7th of the year. Looks like he's turned it around. 8-1, A's the final. Elsewhere, Gumby was in Milwaukee tonight taking a beer bath during the Brewers-White Sox game. Paul Molitor surprising the Sox with the perfect squeeze bunt. Gary Sheffield scoring, and the Brewers begin the second half with a 5-1 win over Chicago. To the American League, Stewart the win, and the A's 8-1 over Baltimore. Scott Sanderson, the former A's pitcher, with a 1-hitter tonight for the Yankees, who have won 11 of their last 14. They shut out the Angels tonight. Tom Candiotti shutting out Texas for Toronto 2-0. Brian Holman and Bill Swift do it for Seattle against Cleveland. That's the 12th time this year the Indians have been shut out. Minnesota 7-3 over Boston. The Twins lead the West by 1. Milwaukee's 5-1 win over Chicago. Mike McFarland with a grand slam to help Kansas City beat Detroit 9-5. Well, the baseball season is at the halfway point, but the footballs are flying at NFL training camps already. The 49ers opening their practice schedule at Sierra College with 2 workouts today. David Lloyd has that story.
It's mid-July in Rockland, and the circus is back in town. A typical opening day, a lot of heat, a lot of intensity, and even more rookie mistakes.
Does anything ever change about the first day camp with the rookies out here?
No, not really. It's a lot of chaos most of the time.
But not all is status quo. It's a different team just for the mere fact that Lott and Craig are gone. Plus, it sounds strange, but George Seifert has never opened camp with a team that wasn't the defending champ. Seifert's main objective in camp this season may be to find a running game, and Notre Dame's Ricky Waters could be the answer.
It's just a great feeling that I have a chance, I at least have a chance. And then guys like Dexter Carter has really been just super, helping me out in every way, him and Keith. And that's really helped me a lot, too. Sometimes you think, you're going to come in, those guys are going to not like you, think you're trying to take their spot. But they've been great, really.
Seems the rooks and the veterans are getting along famously. Even the skinny legs of one of the game's greats didn't intimidate this rookie crop.
Any pinching yourself still seeing Joe Montana throwing the ball around out there?
Well, no, I pretty much gotten over it. His son kind of has a way of making you forget all that.
The rest of the veterans will arrive on Saturday. Until then, Joe promises to take it easy on the rookies. Right, Joe?
Yeah.
From Rockland, David Lloyd, Fox 40 Sports.
Boxing news tonight, Tony Lopez defending his IBF junior lightweight title tomorrow night at Lake Tahoe against Lupe Gutierrez. Lopez has changed trainers and gotten himself into solid shape as he fights for the first time since he fought Brian Mitchell to a draw. This will be a battle of 2 California fighters. Gutierrez is from Turlock. He's the USBA featherweight champ. Lopez should win, but don't call him Mr. Mellow about this.
I train hard. I train to get one job done. That's to either win a fight by knockout or by decision. No matter how I got to get it done, I'm going to do it. Come Friday night, I will have my hand raised, whether it's early or in 12 rounds, but I will win the fight.
Gutierrez comes from a family of 13. He's a family man himself now with 3 kids. He knows he's an underdog, but says, don't count me out.
I just don't see Tony Lopez taking me out like most people think. But no, if there's going to be a knockout, I think it will be me knocking him out. He's not going to knock me out.
That fight is on pay-per-view. Heavyweights Lennox Lewis and Mike Weaver also on the card. Well, 6 stages of the Tour de France are now complete, and there's a new leader. Frenchman Thierry Marie won today's race. He now leads Irishman Sean Kelly by a little over a minute. Greg LeMond is now tied for 3rd after his 30th place finish today.
Before we leave you, do you have any report at all on Pokey?
Pokey was in the bleachers tonight, keeping a low profile.
Just check.
A lot of
He
controversy.
didn't want to get in that beer mug with Gumby.
No,
Gumby's been
smarter than the green guy.
What will the weekend weather be like? Dave Brown has the answer coming up.
He will also have for us spectacular pictures of the complete solar eclipse as the moon's shadow today swept across the Pacific.
But first, it used to be that boys chased girls. But with idols like Madonna, today's teenage women have turned things around. That story is next in Focus 40.
There is a new gasoline that is clearly advanced. A new gasoline that will give you the highest level of engine cleaning for high performance. A new gasoline formulated for lower pollution and cleaner air. Who has this new gasoline? You know who. New Phase 4 gasoline from Exxon for high performance and cleaner air.
There's got to be a better way to buy a car.
The Riverside Avenue Factory Outlet is here with a whole new way to buy a car or truck.
A factory outlet for cars?
Factory executive demos, rental returns, Ford factory buybacks, offered direct to the public.
What about the prices?
Choose from 10 1991 Tempo GLs at the same low price, just $84.88, complete with air, automatic, and much more.
We can afford that.
The Riverside Avenue Factory Outlet in Roseville.
I'm not a preacher in the classical sense of the term, but I can tell you how to live by faith in God's Word and how to be in victory in life. Too many people don't know how to receive from God. They don't know the the reality of his power. So we're going to show them how.
Watch The Believer's Voice of Victory with Kenneth Copeland every week right here.
I've seen more girls asking guys, especially like after they've had a couple of beers, you know, they get more aggressive after that.
Are today's young females more aggressive in the 90s? You might not believe what they have to say. I'm Mike Bond in Sacramento. That story coming up next in Focus.
The original Star Trek, weeknights at 11:30 on KTXL, Fox 40. James Garner is Sergeant Major Zach Carey.
Eddie.
A regular Army guy whose son has a problem with the law.
The sheriff is using you to get to me. Now, I promise you, I will get you out of here.
James Garner. See Thomas Howell. Tank. Saturday at 4 on Fox 40.
This is Diane Conlon and the Big Gulp Machine at a 7-Eleven store in Ocean Beach, CA. Folks call it Dog Beach, cause all day long dogs walk the masses, making them real thirsty, but that's okay. Cause Diane's super big gulps will taste perfect like they do at 7-Elevens everywhere. So if you have a dog or just a hamster but you're thirsty, stop by for a super big gulp at your 7-Eleven. The sign of the times. Oh, and by the way, right now a super big gulp's just 69 cents, so come on in.
As confusion mounts over the recent wave of alien phone books, citizens must take appropriate steps. Don't get rid of your Pacific Bell phone book. Keep it in a safe place, known only to family members. Defend your right to keep and use the only phone book that comes from the phone company. And remember, if it doesn't say Smart Yellow Pages, it's not the genuine Pacific Bell phone book.
Another big truck sale at Giant Worthington Chevrolet, and you get a 10-day trial exchange. Pick a truck, drive it 10 days, make sure that this is the truck you want. An 87 Ford Bronco 2, $69.95, $109 a month. An 88 Ford F-150, $79.95, $119 a month. An 89 Ford pickup, $89.95, $139 a month. And a 90 Dodge Caravan, $99.95, just $159 a month. It's Worthington Chevrolet and Worthington Mitsubishi on Florin Road, open till midnight every day.
In Focus 40 tonight, are teenage girls becoming more aggressive, going after the boys?
Well, this has been a hot topic ever since an advice columnist started receiving thousands of letters from worried parents, including one mother who said she wants to lock her teenage son in a cage until he turns 21. Well, our Mike Bond had a rough job today, hitting the beach to find out what Sacramento teens think.
With today's so-called role models flaunting their stuff everywhere you look, many can't help but ask, are there any nice girls anymore?
Yeah, they're nice girls. I think the girls are just taking the initiative to ask the guys out. They're becoming a lot more aggressive.
Aggressive they are, said most of the girls we talked to this afternoon at Discovery Park.
It used to be more that the guys would call them and they'd be embarrassed to call, and now it's like almost the other way around, like guys wait for girls to call.
A lot of times the girls will just go up to the guys and start hanging on them, and the guys aren't going to stop them. So the girls, you know, they just walk up to the guys. They don't hesitate at all. Grab them by the hand and, you know.
At least one Sacramento therapist says there's no question young females these days are more aggressive. But why?
It's pretty obvious that over many years there's been more permission giving for girls to try some new behaviors, and more permissive society, you know, certainly.
I'm not that kind of person. I'm more shy. I don't like to push myself on people.
The United States has one of the highest teen pregnancy rates in the world. Here in Sacramento, Planned Parenthood officials say they've definitely noticed an increase in the number of mothers bringing their young daughters, ages 13, 14, and 15, in for consultation. We've heard from the women, but what do the guys think about this new age of aggressive girls?
1 minute, like a guy's like talking to a girl, and then next minute they're in the bedroom. And I've seen like people go, like especially at parties, you know, they go in with cameras and take pictures. Didn't that happen?
Be shocked if you want, but these teens say it's the 90s. The aggressive women say they're here to stay, and you have to feel many of the guys believe that's not such a bad deal.
I think the guys just get tired of asking the girls out all the time, so the girls just take the initiative.
In Sacramento, Mike Bond for the 10 o'clock news.
Changing subjects, there has been a lot of news lately about police brutality and cops in trouble themselves with the law. In tonight's commentary, Bob Cook looks at the way police officers are treated when they do break the law.
Well, another police beating last week. A handcuffed suspect beaten 24 times by a Fort Worth, Texas police officer. The videotaped incident shows the officer repeatedly beating the suspect with full over-the-head swings. After viewing the videotape, the police chief of Fort Worth, a man who wins my Lame Excuse of the Week award, said, quote, "It appears as though the officer overreacted. We don't train officers to use both hands and an over-the-head swing." The officer was told to stay home pending an investigation. Now, wait a minute. If I took a ball bat and started beating on someone and a witness caught the action on their home video camera, I sincerely doubt whether I would be told to go home and rest up my batting arm. I would probably be in a jail cell awaiting arraignment on assault with a deadly weapon. Now, I firmly believe that the recent incidents of police officers overreacting to situations, officers taking the law into their own hands and administering their own form of punishment, are isolated incidents. But I'm getting pretty tired of once such an incident comes to light, the officer is clearly breaking the law, that officer is treated with kid gloves. This officer, like the officers in Los Angeles, should have been arrested and charged with the crime they clearly committed. Then they can have their day in court, just like the rest of us. But not a few days relaxing at home with full pay. Now, if you have a comment or an opinion on my commentary, here's where to write. Either to Bob's Hate Mail or I Agree with Bob. Post Office Box 40, Sacramento, California, 95812-0040.
Well, if you didn't get a chance to see the solar eclipse today, David is going to be showing us some video of that, plus giving us the forecast.
Exactly. I think everybody has almost had enough with the eclipse.
Eclipsed out, right?
Just eclipsed out, and perhaps none too soon, another 140 years or so until the next total eclipse. Of course, as Lorraine said, we'll show you some pictures. We'll also give you the end of the week forecast and give you a clue of what this weekend is going to be like weather-wise. All of that stuff coming up next.
So, you bought a new Cadillac? Uh-huh. Thought you'd go for one of those foreign jobs.
The way they keep raising prices, come on. Cadillac hasn't raised its prices all year.
Oh, affordable?
Well, considering I am your accountant, and considering it's Cadillac's year-end clearance sale, I'd say you could afford a Cadillac.
But what you need is a golf lesson.
Before you invest, investigate Cadillac's year-end clearance sale. Selection is best right now.
Nice drive.
Pencils, everyone? Action! Can your TV pass this simple screen test? Do you get cable TV with Showtime movie exclusives like Dick Tracy, Total Recall, Cadillac Man, plus smash hits like Pretty Woman, Miami Blues, RoboCop 2, and Showtime's original Knockout Entertainment? It's only on cable TV, and right now, installation is free. Okay, here's an easy one. Do you like to save money? Right now, Showtime is on sale. Just call this number. And you know what else you get if you order now? Sports, world events, and great family viewing 24 hours a day. Just call 1-800-382-1800 now. Get Showtime at half price for 1 month, plus free cable installation. Showtime, we entertain you like no one can. Call 1-800-382-1800 now.
Folsom Lake Toyota, your source for low prices, has done it again. Why pay more? Save up to $5,000 on a new Toyota. In fact, we have over 100 new Toyotas, all clearly marked and priced below factory invoice. No hassles, no gimmicks, just low prices. Save on 4x2 and 4x4 trucks, Cressidas, Supras, Camrys, and Corollas. Over 100 Toyotas sacrificed below factory invoice. Plus, $49 down delivers and make no payments till November. It's a great day to save on a new Folsom Lake Toyota. Take Sunrise North, left on Zinfantil, in Rancho Cordova.
Well, if you missed it, almost too bad. You won't see it again this century. Now, when the moon passed in front of the sun today, it created a spectacular celestial show from Hawaii to Brazil. Thrill seekers and scientists flocked to Hawaii to view the eclipse. It blackened a 160-mile wide path over 8,000 miles from the western Pacific to Brazil. The eclipse awed millions of stargazers, though it was a little disappointing because of some clouds in Hawaii and Mexico. Today's phenomena qualifies as the eclipse of the century because of its length and also because of the large number of people watching. Well, here in Sacramento, an estimated 1,000 people gathered at the Science Center to watch the eclipse.
Really dark right here.
I don't know how dark it got today in Hawaii.
Science Center officials say they sold out of 700 special viewing glasses within about a half hour. Now, 59% of the sun was blocked by the moon's shadow here in Sacramento. Now, people of all ages watched the show on a big screen, but others used more direct methods. Well, even the governor took time out from the budget battle to view the phenomena that won't happen again here until the year 2017. Now, in a couple of years, I think in 1992, we'll have another partial eclipse, but nothing like that. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, let's take a look at the current conditions. On this Thursday night, we have a clear and a starry evening tonight with a present temperature of 72 degrees. Our relative humidity is 57%. The barometric pressure is rising, 29.88. Now, we're trying to get a southwesterly wind at 11 miles an hour through the Delta. In Stockton, it's currently 76, and Modesto is 77. Now, our pollutant standard index today was marginally unhealthful. Tomorrow we expect the same, 100 in Sacramento and a 67 in Stockton. Kind of interesting today was the actual temperatures effect or the solar effect on the temperature. Today between 11 o'clock and noon, when we usually go up about 4 or 5 degrees, our temperature actually stayed rather constant. But as you can tell, it was still a warm day all up and down the valley with a 98-degree reading in Sacramento, 95 in Stockton, and a 97 in Modesto. Temperatures in the foothills, a recording station in Grass Valley actually recorded a 5-degree drop in temperatures between 11 and 12, obviously because not quite as much sun. Up to the north, it was hot with 104 in Redding, 97 in Marysville, and temperatures very hot to the south. 113 was the U.S. high in Death Valley. Now, our satellite image tonight shows a very weak disturbance just off the coast of the Pacific Northwest, clouds curling around an area of low pressure. That is going to be riding up to the north, what we can expect mainly clear sky with the exception of some low clouds and fog continuing to hug up and down the coast. Now here's what's going to be happening. The past 24 hours gives us a good indication of what's going to be happening in the next 24 hours. You can see a lot of the clouds thinning out, riding up to the north. There is a disturbance gathering a little bit of steam, but high pressure is between this disturbance and the north part of the state. I expect this area of low pressure to scoot underneath the high, move in through Southern California. Now, the steering currents of the jet stream suggest that a lot of the energy is going to be riding through the Pacific Northwest. There's a little bit of a trough of low pressure in the upper layers of the atmosphere. It's just a pocket of cool air. Since this is over Northern California, I expect that our temperatures over the next couple of days will gradually go down. We'll see some 80s by this weekend. So let's check out your forecast before I totally fade away. Calling for fair skies for the remainder of tonight. We'll see some lows in the 50s. Tomorrow's going to be still warm, but a little bit less warm. Highs will be in the 80s and to the mid-90s in the Sacramento area. For the northern Sacramento Valley, calling for clear skies tonight with lows in the upper 60s and light variable wind. Tomorrow sunny and still hot with highs in the mid-90s to the low 100s in the extreme northern part of the valley. For the Sierra foothills, I'm calling for clear skies tonight. Tomorrow sunny and very warm. Our highs will be in the upper 80s to mid-90s. For the Sierra weather-wise, fair and chilly tonight. Quite a large range and spread in our temperatures from a 39 in Truckee to a high there of about 82. For the inland valleys, I'm calling for some sunshine for a Friday. And the Bay Area, we'll see that low clouds and we'll see some fog. Otherwise, we'll see some late morning to early afternoon sun. So my extended forecast looks like this. We're calling for a slight drop in the temperatures, so it should be pretty mild, pretty nice this weekend. Our highs will be in the mid to upper 80s by Saturday and Sunday, and perhaps a few clouds here and there. So all in all, a very nice weekend and a great day to watch our partial eclipse.
Yeah, there were a lot of people out there doing it, too.
There were.
Still ahead, a quick look back at tonight's top stories.
And we will also hear from Roseanne Barr, who tells a surprised audience her true story of child abuse. The details when we come back.
If you're searching for the car of your dreams, then search no longer. Come right now and see for yourself. See the Stockton Auto Center, day or night. See the country's finest total auto center with 76 acres and thousands of cars and trucks. All volume selling price to sell now. See hundreds of different models. Ford, Chrysler Plymouth, Subaru, Hyundai, Nissan, Dodge, Volkswagen, and Mazda. See for yourself.
A collection of cars and trucks to see. Stockton Auto Center.
Announcing the grand opening of Bruner's at Stone Ridge Mall in Pleasanton. But why should Pleasanton have all the fun? You can celebrate now at all Bruner's stores. With 2 ways to save. Did we mention fabulous prizes at every store? Isn't it fun to be opening-minded?
So many families now love Quaker Oat squares. Think how a flake feels. You okay?
Oh, I'm so flat and frail, not square like you.
Quaker Oat squares are more than just square. We're toasted whole grain oats sprinkled with brown sugar.
You're sprinkled. I'm wrinkled.
And Quaker Oat squares stay crunchy in milk. Come on in.
Can't. Once milk touches me, I'm a soggy sight.
I'll try not to splash. Quaker Oat squares. You'll love them from Square One.
Heard about Chevron's great gasoline and grocery giveaway? With over 3 million instant winners?
That's a lot of winners.
You could win the grand prize, free groceries for life.
That's a lot of groceries.
And free Chevron gasoline for life.
That's a lot of gasoline.
Or one of over 3 million free gas and grocery prizes worth up to $10.
That's a lot of fun.
So stop by Chevron, start playing, and start winning.
Folsom Lake Ford, your truck source, is having a truck blowout. Get a new 1991 Ranger pickup for just $139 down and $139 per month. Get a new 1991 F-150 pickup for just $169 down and $169 per month. Or pay no money down and make no payments till October. Every truck in our huge inventory is at blowout prices. There's a reason we're #1 in sales and #1 in customer satisfaction. Come to the source and see for yourself. Folsom Lake Ford at the corner of Greenback and Madison.
Come to the source.
Some called this lawman a modern Wyatt Earp, whose life was cut short in a shootout with 2 gunmen. See his real-life story on America's Most Wanted, Friday.
Now a look at this hour's top stories, beginning with the drug bust in North Sacramento. Almost $700,000 worth of cocaine, heroin, and cash were seized at a commercial building in the North area. Drug Enforcement Administration agents also seized weapons and arrested 4 people. Authorities believe the suspects were trying to establish a drug base here in Sacramento. And we hope you didn't miss the eclipse of the century today. The moon passed in front of the sun, creating the view of a lifetime from Hawaii to Brazil. Thrill seekers and scientists flocked to Hawaii and Mexico to view the phenomena. It also was visible here in Sacramento, although we didn't quite see a full eclipse here. About 59% of the sun was blocked here in the area, but that didn't stop hundreds from enjoying the view. For the second time in less than 24 hours, a $2.3 billion income tax increase for the wealthiest Californians was defeated. The vote today created another delay for an already overdue state budget settlement. Lawmakers say they'll try again tomorrow or Monday. The governor says he won't sign a budget package until lawmakers send him the tax bill and the changes he wants in the workers' compensation system. That's our look at this hour's top stories.
We'll finish tonight with comedian Roseanne Barr, who today told talk show host Joan Rivers she was abused as a child. Here's Bob O'Brien with the story.
A lot of people who heard Roseanne Barr's rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner before the San Diego Padres game last summer questioned not only her singing, but her sanity as well. Well, Roseanne, who now prefers to be known as Roseanne Arnold, went on the Joan Rivers Show with hubby Tom to reveal a possible source of some of her mental anguish. Roseanne says she's been in psychotherapy for the last 2 years. That's when she says she finally remembered a horror repressed for decades, that she had been a victim of child abuse at the hands of her own family.
What did they do to you? Were you physically abused also?
I was every kind of abused.
Did you find that you were doing that to your children?
No. I went just the other way. I was like, I'm not going to do that to my kids, so what I did was I didn't have any rules on my kids. My kids were like wilde chayas, you know.
Yeah. Dr. Linda Cahill directs the Child Protection Center at Montefiore Hospital in the Bronx. This child abuse expert says Roseanne Barr is not the only one who hides past scars rather than deal with them.
It is very possible to block a very painful experience. It's far easier to not have to deal with a terribly painful event as a child.
In an interview with the Current Affairs Rita Jenrette, Roseanne says there are still flashbacks that haven't gone away. Bob O'Brien, Fox News, New York.
And before we go tonight, Rich reports a tennis score. The Capitals win tonight in Los Angeles. They beat the Strings 28-24, so after they lose their opener last night, they're now 1-1. Kelly Jones, who plays men's singles for the Capitals, just about beat Jimmy Connors tonight. Connors did win, though, 6-5.
Well, close.
Good match.
Close. That's our time for now. We thank you for your time, and we'll see you here again tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
James Garner, C. Thomas Howell, Tank. Saturday at 4 on Fox 40.